that money that we are so desperately looking for out there, with proper instruments, we can get those resources from the people of Kenya through the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And I look forward from where I sit to government of Kenya raising more resources for our development using this NSC. I look forward to many Kenyans having the opportunity to buy, to sell, and to grow their wealth using the Nairobi Exchange. I look forward, for example, to that boda guy. When waiting for the next customer, he is trading on his phone. That's really, I look forward. Instead of that boda guy playing gaming, you know, the whole space that's now full of betting and guesswork and people losing money. I am looking forward to the time when Mama Mboga, while she's waiting for her next supply, she's on her phone buying Safaricom shares, buying Kenya Breweries shares, buying, hopefully, we should be able to buy Bitco shares, and the rest of them, you know. So that's really where I'm looking for. I'm looking at what we as government will be doing on one end and what Mama Mboga and Boda will be doing on the other end. Everything in between is possible. That's my vision.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Mr. Kitoni, I'd like to come to you now. The capital markets has had a dearth of listings over the last 13 years, and we'd like to find out where have the biggest challenges been and what would it take to ensure more private listings, let's say at least 5 over the next 12 months.
Thank you very much, Terry-Ann. First of all, just to say that what His Excellency has just said is like music to my ears. And reading the Bible, they say, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Jeff and I and our board and all of us actors in the capital markets, we've been knocking on the door for many years until we almost started to think that that biblical verse does not hold true. But Your Excellency, what you've said today is really like what we've been waiting for. With respect to your question about the dearth of listings on the exchange, I would say 2 things. One is the process. We've had a serious challenge with the process, particularly through the privatization process and the onerous bureaucracy that entails before listing is done. And it is something that we have discussed numerously with the Cabinet Secretary Designate, and it is something that I believe if the obstacles and the hurdles towards listing are addressed, then I'm sure we are going to see the listings come back again. I think the years 2002 to 2010 saw very many listings, and it saw a real lifting of these markets. And the second thing, obviously, is that in most developed markets, the public sector or state-owned enterprise listings lead the charge and is always followed and reciprocated by the private sector. We saw that in France with Euronext, we saw that in the LSE, we've seen it in New York and in many other places. The second thing is obviously the confidence of the business owners to know that they will realize value. And I believe that the testaments that we have received today from the owners of the enterprises that have spoken before us is a clear demonstration. And I'm certain that with that messaging and with the fact that there is a demonstrable evidence that there is a huge benefit in listing, that matter will be remedied in the year to come. In the year to come. We've talked about measurable, so 12 months. So thank you, Chairman, for reminding us that you can do that in 12 months. And hopefully we will all be here to check that it has been done. Engineer Kamau, I'd like to come to you. Kenya has a Privatization Act, which was meant to spur listings by the government, which, as we all know, has not. Perhaps you can tell us what needs to be relooked at within the Privatization Act with a view
to bring at least 5 public listings over the next 12 months?
Thank you very much. I think first of all, we need to look at the objective of the privatization. And I think when the government came up with the Privatization Act, the objective was actually to raise additional money to be able to finance the budget and also create opportunities for Kenyans to own part of these businesses. Now, this law was established, enacted in 2005 and operationalized in 2008. But largely we can say, if you look at the reason and the objective for which this act was established, we have not been able to achieve this. And for a number of reasons. I think you need to appreciate that the law has a lot of bureaucracy. I was looking at the kind of steps that you need to go through to privatize a city corporation. It takes about 16 to 17 steps. And I think some of those steps will take maybe 3, 4, 5 months. So we need to look at the act and see which areas we need to remove. And in my view, possibly we may also need to look at broadly the whole framework for privatization. Yeah? And because when I look at the government, we need to do 2 things. We need to do the primary listing. That is the new entities that we need to bring in the stock market so that we can increase the volume. And we also need to look at the secondary listings, which is the companies or the parastatals that are listed where government has shares. We need to offload some of those shares. And we need to have flexibility as government as well, as an investor in an NSC, to be able to trade freely. If you look at the stock market currently, I was looking at the estimate yesterday, the estimated investment by government is 426 billion Kenyan shillings. That's a very large investment for government. And therefore, we need the flexibility to be able to do that. Now, at the currently, if you have to even sell 1 share as government in the stock market, we have to go through the privatization law. That will take us possibly another 2, 3 years. It becomes very difficult. So, in my view, we need to overhaul the law and create possibly a framework that is a little bit faster. But I also, looking at the previous work that had been done earlier, the government had recommended that we create what you call a government investment company, particularly ownership, because that ownership policy was very critical because that company in itself was supposed to own the assets of government, the parastatals, and it would be able to acquire and sell freely. And I think this is the kind of framework that we need for us to be able to offload some of these companies in the market. Now, talking about the 5 companies that you said in 12 months, I think we have no problem of identifying those 5 companies. I think we have very many companies we can bring on board. But at the same time, I think I do appreciate that one of the things that we needed most, and that is needed most, is also political support and policy support. Because last time, when we were trying to do some privatization, there was the privatization program was put in abeyance in 2014, and this was only lifted in 2019. So even though there was traction to be able to proceed with that process, it may not have been possible because that policy direction was not there. And I think I can see now we have all the commitment that we need so we can be able to move ahead, create the necessary environment to do so. And I think within 12 months we can be able to bring the likes of KPC, KPA, whatever other companies that we may agree within government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Mr. Hook, I'd like to come to you now. KDC is mandated to play a catalytic role in Kenya's socio-economic development by providing long-term financing and other financial investment and advisory services as well. Is there a case to exempt KDC from the Privatization Act in order to bring quick transactions into the market?
Thank you, Terian, for that question. KDC is a government-owned entity for Development Finance, so it's one of the strongest and the single DFI. Ideally, we are supposed to support the government in its priority development agenda in terms of mobilizing resources. Once resources are mobilized, we have both the support we give to enterprises, both on equity and debt. In terms of existing investments, we've got
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
realization that we need to do the necessary amendments to the
Helping us with privatization. Whatever we have to do as government, we must do it so